You've heard it before, you're not fat, you just have a hip tilt. Almost everybody has a tilt of some degree in their hips. Let's break down why. First things first is going to be tight hamstrings. Work on these with movements like hinges and any other straight leg forward folding movements that force the hamstring to lengthen. Basically any movement where you're reaching down to touch the toes with straight locked legs. The other big culprit is going to be a weak core. Your pelvis sits within your core. So if you have a weak core, it's like a beanbag and your pelvis is going to be slumped back. Decondition this by twisting at the core, practicing rotation of all kinds to build power within, as well as lengthening on each side. Remember, don't think of the core as just your abs. Think of it as your spine, lower belly, and lower back. So you're going to be doing things like cat cows, bird dogs to lengthen the spine. Twisting in and out of these movements to build mobility, as well as synergizing the hips by doing things that work the hip flexors and the core, like any type of leg lifting. A problem that gets less attention is weak stabilizers, the outer and inner muscles of your thighs. Bring energy to these areas by doing stretches that force that hip glute connection to tighten and lengthen. A big one's going to be those classic pigeon poses, lateral leg lifting, adduction and abduction movements. You don't have to be on those machines to do that. Just lift your legs to each side. Blending two movements together works very well. Practicing control of your legs from that pivot point of your hips. Pivot point's a good word, but I prefer the term cradle. You want to think of your hips as a cradle. That way you're not bumping, you're humping consciously. Practice consciously humping, bringing that cradle forward. Get in extended positions like a wide lunge and saw and floss your hips around. Notice if you go to just move your body versus controlling your hips. Controlling your hips is huge because walking is a stabilizing motion. You spend 80% of time on each leg. You're never on both legs at the same time, unless you're hopping around like a bunny rabbit. But stabilization isn't just for movement. It's for any time you're sedentary as well. So sitting. Stabilize yourself to sit. That's impossible with the chairs that we have nowadays. Chances are when you go to do things like sit to relax, you just sink your hips in. And it's even worse because it happens when we sleep. You get in weird positions and your body acclimates to comfort. Add the fact that most people aren't strength training, so those weak ass hamstrings are pulling their hips down like a dog on a leash, and they rarely spend time extending their knees well above their hips. So as a side effect, their core is usually weak and they can't stand up straight. All of these things accumulate into bad body language that compounds on itself until you decide to take your energy back. Beyond the things I showed you at the beginning of this video, simply show up and train for the habits that you want to have. If you condition to negative, you can condition a positive. Go do that shit. Thanks for watching.